new marking period, new project, nice fresh slate where none of us have any grades at the moment, which is exciting. And we will be in Photoshop for maybe like 2 more projects. And then we're going to start making our way into Adobe Illustrator, which is more like a little bit digital drawing based, like illustrations. Before we hop into that, though, we are going to start working on our typography portraits. So if you were to be so kind to look at the giant wall over here, I have some student samples. So I've been doing this project a really long time because I think it looks really awesome. So some of these over here are really great. So this was done a few years ago. Like these on the wall were done when I was on maternity leave. So like I left the project to someone else. And they turned out, like most of them turned out pretty well. The big thing we want to think about is what are these images made of when we're looking at these pictures? They're basically made of different words, right? So the type of font and the size and all those different elements are really important. So we call this the typography portrait. And based on like that word, if we're to break it down, what do you think typography is going to mean?
Making a picture with only words.
Well, it definitely involves words. So when we're talking about typography, we're generally talking about the like style and the appearance of printed matter. I thought that was a pretty simple definition, and we could stick with that one. Okay. It's actually really cool because Photoshop will do a lot of the work for us, breaking it down into different types of values. So do we remember what I mean when we're talking about different types of values? What are some values you see in some of the samples, either on the smartboard or on the wall? Values. What did we mean when we talked about values?
It's like the color shade from like light to dark.
Exactly. So we basically started with black here, and then we kept going lighter and lighter and lighter. So what are those lighter versions of black called? Yeah, and in between the black and the white is? Perfect. So our typography portraits are actually like 5 values. It's black, dark gray, medium gray, light gray, white. That's it. That's all that makes up this picture. Guys. So that's all that makes up these pictures, which is pretty cool. I'm not really going to get into the text portion today because we have to do a lot of photo editing. Well, not even that much photo editing to get rolling. But let's talk about what's going to make this project look really fantastic. Okay. So if we compare my samples up on the board versus some over here, we're definitely seeing different size photos and perhaps different amounts of the body. Based on what you're seeing here, can you point out one that looks really, really, that you think is really well done? You could either talk about the one on the board or you could talk about one on the wall.
I think that one is.
Miley?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to talk about Miley for a second. So she's right here. If we're talking about Miley, what makes you believe that this is well done?
I can't really see the words super clearly, so it looks a bit like an actual picture.
Okay, so he's seeing the picture really well. He's not seeing a huge issue with that. Also, you are zoomed out a little bit, so I'll zoom in a little so you know what's up, and that should hopefully make it a little bit easier. Okay, so one of the things we're saying is that you want to be able to decipher this person pretty easily. Okay, that's going to be number one. About how much of Miley's like body are you seeing? Yeah, shoulders up. And in some cases, I would even tell people you could do like just neck up. Why do you think I don't want to focus on perhaps the one on the wall here where there's like a lot of chest? So maybe over here, you've got a lot of chest, or even the orange Conway one, which is lovely. But why may those not be ideal like amounts of body to show? It's too well. You still have text if it's going to be in the head. Why do you think we want to make this project all about the head but not like the torso?
Is it similar to our magazine where it's kind of like a portrait?
Yeah, it's definitely a portrait. That's one really good reason. And where are the identifying features? Am I going to be able to identify each star by what they're wearing on their shoulders, or am I going to be able to identify them by their heads? Their heads, right? Okay, so that's where all of the uniqueness is. You know, a lot of us have the same shirts, so we can't identify each other by shirts. So it's all about where all the detail is in the head. So that's what we're trying to focus on for this project. Okay. Do we have any questions so far? All right. I'm gonna just go over like the first step of the project today. We'll like prep the picture. We're not gonna do anything with text. We're just getting ready to go. Okay. So what we want to keep in mind is we need a great picture. And what I pretty much always use Jimmy Fallon because he's not like offensive. But I'm gonna look up some pictures of Jimmy Fallon. So you definitely want to find a picture that's going to be easy to cut out. So Jimmy's got dark hair and he's in like a dark background here. So that would be a really pain to cut him out of the background. So things like that we want to avoid. I want to make sure that even if it's not all about his head, that it's a really big picture. So hopefully you can find something on the larger scale. Why do you think like a side view may not always be the best idea for this project? That's a really good way to put it. Yeah, if they're turned to the side, it may be more difficult to identify them. So try and keep them like mostly forward, I would say is a good way to phrase it. Okay. I'm going to go with, I think I have a few saved. Let me check my folder here. Let's go to my pile of sample pictures. There's Jimmy. We're going to use that one and we're going to drag it right into Photoshop. All right, not bad. It's actually a 16-inch photo, so that's great. Okay. Based on what you're seeing in some of the samples on the wall, what do you think I should do with Jimmy's background? Yeah, definitely. So I just unlocked the layer, and it's up to you if you're going to use like a quick select, a magic wand. Again, we've done this a lot of times, so there's a lot of options, and I don't think we need to like beat it with a stick. You know what you're doing. I'm just going to quickly do it so we're not bored here. We'll pretend I took my time and made it really clean, although it's not bad. So I removed the background, and I have a big list of steps here for us. Okay? So I chose my photo, and I dragged it into Photoshop. And I also want to go in, and I want to crop the photo so that I'm getting rid of all the stuff I don't want. So that crop tool is just like this little funky square here. You may have it set to another number from before, but if you go to your options at the top here, you can click clear. And you can make this box whatever size you want. I'll keep a little bit of neck, but I don't need too much. So Marcel and Jaden, can you turn around, please? Thank you. All right. So I got rid of all the other stuff I don't need. What else do you notice color-wise you think I should do to my project? Grayscale it. Fantastic. Image, mode, grayscale. Perfect. All right. So that was our next step. We turned it to grayscale. And now we just want to make sure that the document is big enough. So usually I tell people you could drag it to an 8.5 by 11, but my picture's still really big, so I'm just going to keep it here. And then next thing we're going to do is we're going to do something cool called posterize. So there's like a billion grays and black and white in this picture, a billion of them. And we're going to break it down into only 5 levels of that. Okay. So we're going to posterize it. We go to image, adjustments, posterize. And usually it's set to 4, but I'm going to change it to 5. And that's going to help us break the image down into text. Although right now, I don't really have any white. I kind of have a ton of gray on his face. So that's not really what I want to go with. I really need a lot more contrast in his face. It's like I need to almost shine a light on his face. So I'll go back in my history and undo that. And do you remember what we did? Perhaps we've done it with our hybrids. We did it with our superheroes. What we did to adjust sort of like the way the light hits the face of an individual. We could burn and dodge, but there's a bigger way if I want to do it overall. How about the levels, which is right next to the saturation, okay? So we're going to go to image, adjustments, levels, okay? And you've got this funky mountain. So there's the black and there's the white. So I'm going to pull my white slider over, and I'm just basically shining some light on his face. And I can pull my black slider over a little too, just to give him a little contrast. And then I'm going to go back to my posterize and try it again. Image, adjustments, posterize, 5. Oops. Alrighty. So now this is what I'm looking for in someone's face. So regardless of what this person's skin tone is, you want to have all different layers of gray. It's really just a matter of shining a light on there and also giving them a little bit of that contrast, that dark shadow, in like the little nooks and crannies of your faces as well. Okay. And that's the point we're going to get to today. We're just going to save it, and I'll just walk around and make sure we're in a pretty good spot with that. Okay. And of course, I'll keep these directions up too, so you have something that you could adjust it with. Okay. So do you have any questions so far? All right. I'm just going to have you set up the photo today. Tomorrow we'll talk more about fonts. I actually like to compare them to music, which is really fun. We'll do that. And then it's like kind of like painting by numbers.